Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really cool new idea called vibe learning. It's a concept that actually started in the world of coding, but as we're about to see, it might just hold the key to unlocking our own curiosity in a whole new way.
So to really get a handle on vibe learning, we actually have to start somewhere else, with coding. I mean, think about it. Imagine you wanted to build an app, but you have zero programming experience. A few years ago, that was a non-starter. You were looking at a super steep learning curve. But that's all starting to change.
There's this huge buzz around a concept called vibe coding. And the idea is pretty simple, but powerful. You basically just talk to an AI. You describe what you want your app to do, it spits out some code, you give it feedback, it tries again. You get into this amazing creative flow, this vibe, because the AI is handling all the tedious technical stuff that would normally stop you in your tracks.
Right. So this has led a bunch of learning experts to ask a really fascinating question. If an AI can remove all that friction from building an app, could it do the exact same thing for learning something new?
And that question brings us right to the heart of our topic today, vibe learning. It's all about taking that same core philosophy from the coding world and seeing how it applies to the way we gain new knowledge.
This chart just lays it out so perfectly. You see, with vibe coding, your goal is a working app. But with vibe learning, the goal is a new understanding inside your own head. The process changes from this kind of AI-led iteration to an AI-led exploration. And the feeling, well, it's less about effortless creation and more about this sense of playful, curiosity-driven discovery. It's about the fun of finding things out.
So what are the rules here? Well, the first rule is that it should feel playful. This shouldn't feel like schoolwork. It's light, it's engaging, and you can just start. There's almost no prep time. The whole thing is basically a conversation with an AI that's acting like your personal tutor, asking you questions, poking at your ideas, and because of that, you get to skip all the boring, tedious research that usually kills your motivation before you even begin.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But does it actually work? Well, a group of learning experts decided, let's not just talk about it, let's do it. They put vibe learning to the test with a really cool hands-on experiment.
They gave themselves a simple but pretty tough challenge. They had just 15 minutes, that's it, to try and understand a complex topic that most of them knew next to nothing about. The goal was just to see what would happen when you throw a bunch of smart people into their own little personal vibe learning bubble.
And they did not pick an easy topic. Nope, they chose entropy. You know, the scientific principle of disorder and chaos. But here's the twist. The challenge wasn't just to understand the science. It was to find practical, real-world analogies for how entropy shows up in, say, a company, or even in how we learn things.
Now, let's just follow one person's journey, because this is fascinating. They didn't just go to the AI and say, hey, explain entropy to me. Instead, they prompted it to act like a Socratic tutor, to ask them questions. Through that back and forth, they started to uncover their own blind spots and misconceptions. And then to cap it all off, they fed the entire chat into a different AI to create a little summary video. Pretty cool.
But here's the best part. Not everyone took the same path. That's the beauty of this. Some people went really deep into a text conversation with an AI. Someone else took a totally different route and used an AI music generator to create a song about entropy. A song! This variety was absolutely key, because when they all came back to discuss it, the conversation was incredibly rich. Everyone brought a totally unique perspective to the exact same topic.
The experiment was a huge success. But like any good experiment, it didn't just provide answers. It also sparked a really crucial debate about what vibe learning actually is.
And the central question became this. If vibe learning is all about this spontaneous, playful, personal discovery, does the very act of trying to put a framework on it completely defeat the purpose? You know, does the vibe just die the moment you try to turn it into a system?
And this is where two competing philosophies emerged. The first one says the main goal here is to become a better learner yourself, to strengthen your own curiosity muscle, and use AI as a tool to rediscover how you learn best. The second philosophy is actually a lot closer to vibe coding. It argues the goal is to get rid of the difficult process of learning altogether. You let an AI framework handle the how, so you can focus only on the what. So, the people who support that first view, they see vibe learning as a way to reignite a spark. I mean, think about all the people who feel totally burnt out by school and traditional education. This playful approach, it could be a powerful door opener for them, a way to rediscover the joy of just being curious without all the pressure.
But the counter-argument is really compelling too. This side says the real vibe, the true power, comes from having all the difficult stuff handled for you. You just show up with a topic you're interested in, and a smart framework takes care of the rest, guiding you to a deep understanding and removing all the friction and guesswork of how you're supposed to learn.
So really, this whole debate boils down to two things. Is vibe learning all about the process of discovery, or is it about the output of knowledge, the journey or the destination?
So where does that leave us? What's the real potential here? Well, the answer might not be about picking one side over the other, but actually in seeing how they connect.
Maybe its greatest promise is to act as a bridge. For anyone who has felt disconnected or bored or even intimidated by traditional education, vibe learning offers this low-stakes, high-reward way to get back in the game. And you can totally imagine how this would work in the real world, right? You could use it as a hook to get people excited before a more formal training session at work. It's also a fantastic way to let people with totally different skill levels all start from a place that feels comfortable and fun for them. And over time, it could be an amazing way to help people build the confidence to just direct their own learning.
Ultimately, vibe learning invites all of us to ask a really powerful question. Just think for a second about that one topic you've always been curious about, but you've just never had the time or the energy to really tackle. What would you finally dive into if the process of learning felt as easy and as fun as just having a conversation? That's the potential we're just starting to unlock.